Isiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs has fractured his fibula. That is going to land him on IR, and it's looking like a 6 to 8 week injury for Pacheco. Number one, what the heck do the Chiefs do here? Because it really feels like we're throwing darts at the dartboard.
Yeah, this is this was a weird situation all offseason. We were kind of waiting for them to make some sort of move. It was like Jerick McKinnon was hanging out there, and it seemed like, well, we're just going to go with Pacheco as kind of the guy in most situations. They finally made a move for Samaje Perine at the end of training camp after cuts came down, but now we're in a spot where there is no Pacheco, and we're all scratching our head, wondering who the guy's going to be. And first indications are they're going to give Carson Steele a chance to at least be the guy that leads things on early downs, probably has the first chance to lead this team in carries.
What? Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.
T-Bro, right before we started recording this waiver wire update here at Fantasy Points and the Fantasy Points YouTube channel, we got news from Sean McVay, all the reporters there, Jordan Rodrigue, basically everybody who was waiting for an update on Cooper Kupp. Well, we got the update. Cooper Kupp is going to miss a significant amount of time per Sean McVay. He is a candidate for IR, and at this point, I can't imagine he's not going to go on IR. That is a serious injury to the LA Rams, and it's the second serious injury to the LA Rams wide receiver group in 2 weeks. And look, we're going to go around and talk about some wide receivers you might add, but let's just stick right with the Rams. As much as that offensive line looked atrocious with all the injuries that they've had there, you can reasonably anticipate that Matthew Stafford's going to get the ball to somebody. And we talked about them on last week's program, but this week we have to reiterate Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson are going to be two of the premier waiver wire pickups because the Rams are going to have to throw the ball to somebody.
Yeah, this is a situation we're diving right back into, just like last week. But Puka Nacua is already out for on the injured reserve. Looks like he's going to miss at least to like week 7, week 8, the way that they were talking. And now the Cooper Kupp situation here. Wouldn't be surprised if we get injured reserve news with him. So this is looking like at least a month where these guys are going to have to be the lead wide receivers. I'm looking at Demarcus Robinson has kind of been the lead guy, not the lead guy, but he's been the sidekick to these other two guys, and I think he's going to step into the lead role here. He led them in route share last week in week 2. Dated back to last year, he's up over 40 yards in 7 straight non-week 18 games. So he's been pretty involved here with Matthew Stafford for a significant amount of time at this point. But then we got to look towards Tyler Johnson and Jordan Whittington, the rookie out of Texas who made some noise in the preseason. Both of these guys are going to see significant upgrades here. Johnson was number 2 in the rotation last week with Kupp leaving early. Was at a 72% route share. So I think he's has a pretty solidified role. Whittington's got to earn more snaps. He was rotating a little bit with Tutu Atwell, but he did see an uptick in work here. It is still early in the season, so I don't think that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford want to maybe go with a youth movement, and so I think that Whittington's going to have to earn more snaps, but it's certainly possible over the next few weeks that he's going to be out in the field, and they need some playmakers.
Yeah.
So this is a very difficult situation, but all 3 of these guys are worth adding in all spectrums of leagues. Yep.
Well, what if you get somebody who's watching here? Oh, these 2 bobbleheads. I'm in a 14-team league with 20 roster spots, and Tyler Johnson and Demarcus Robinson were already picked up after last week. Well, Jordan Whittington, we offered you that name. Let's go across the stadium to the other locker room in that stadium. Is Quentin Johnston for real, T-Bro, after a disappointing rookie season under the old Chargers coaching staff? Look, we know how Jim Harbaugh operates. He's going to come in, he's going to tear it all down, and he is going to build it his way. And he doesn't care how Quentin Johnston looked last year. He cares how he looks this year. 2 touchdowns this past weekend for the 2-0 LA Chargers.
Yeah, and he's one of these guys that went very poorly for him last year. Lost all of his confidence, and maybe this is a guy that just needed to have a few good plays go his way, and he's doing it early in the season. Maybe that confidence is rising, and the coaching staff's confidence in him is rising. So this is a guy 6% owned in Yahoo leagues. He is out there in every league. He should be owned. I was just doing a little digging just to start my game hubs that go up on the website middle of the week here, and just looking at first read shares, and man, he's right there behind like Cooper Kupp and Malik Neighbors right now. He's third, 38% first read share. They're not throwing that much.
I was about to say Herbert drops back 4 times a game, but other than that,
but they're going to be in some situations. They've had an ideal kind of a start here with the Raiders and Raiders and Panthers, but they're going to have to throw it more at some point. They're going to face some negative game scripts, maybe even as early as this week against the Steelers. They're underdogs going into that game by about 2.5 points. So maybe this passing game will be forced into throwing a little bit more, but I mean, it looks like Quentin Johnston, they're giving him a chance to be the number 1 wide receiver. And I always kind of go back to Harbaugh. He watched this guy, right? He was playing in that, TCU team that Michigan went against in the college football playoff. And he was impressive during his time at TCU. So maybe that confidence is finally rising. All those videos that we saw in training camp of him dropping passes and the drop passes at the end of last year. Maybe this guy is turning a corner. We see this happen from time to time, and certainly a first round talent, and maybe it's starting to come together here for him.
We have over 70 players written up in the waiver wire article at fantasypoints.com, which is posted every Monday afternoon when we record this video. So make sure you go check out the article. We already are discounting subscriptions because we're partway into the season. We'll use code YouTube25 to get 25 extra % off a Fantasy Points standard subscription. You don't need to play DFS. If you just want help on the waiver wire after a brutal start to the year, we have got you covered at FantasyPoints.com. And obviously there are way more wide receivers listed. We just wanted to talk about the top guys right now because, Tom, we have another major injury issue. We've seen all the statistics. Passing yards are at their lowest in like 20 years through 2 weeks. Passing touchdowns are at their lowest in a decade through 2 weeks. Well, that means teams are running the football. But one of the great early down runners, maybe even a low-key bell cow in the NFL, could miss up to 2 months. Isiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs has fractured his fibula. That is going to land him on IR, and it's looking like a 6 to 8 week injury for Pacheco. Number one, what the heck do the Chiefs do here? Because it really feels like we're throwing darts at the dartboard.
Yeah, this is this was a weird situation all offseason. We were kind of waiting for them to make some sort of move. It was like Jerick McKinnon was hanging out there, and it seemed like, well, we're just going to go with Pacheco as kind of the guy. In most situations, they finally made a move for Samaje Perine at the end of training camp after cuts came down. But now we're in a spot where there is no Pacheco, and we're all scratching our head wondering who the guy's going to be. And first indications are they're going to give Carson Steele a chance to at least be the guy that leads things on early downs, probably has the first chance to lead this team in carries. I do think Samaje Perine's role is also going to increase in that area. He also already gets like some of this passing down work that some of the old McKinnon role, but they are also bringing in Kareem Hunt for a visit later this week. And old Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is currently on the NFI list, he's eligible to return after week 4. So this is a situation that's going to could be real sticky here. It's kind of gross. And Pacheco, it looks like, heck, he could be out for 2 months here. So this is going to be an evolving situation. But if I'm going to the waiver wire this week and I need to go get somebody, I'm probably going to throw my most fab money and the top of the priority on Carson Steele, just because even yesterday in the game he fumbled and they still kind of went back to him on that final drive as the guy. So it's going to be an evolving situation here over the next couple of weeks, but Steele is probably going to get the first chance to be the guy.
Tom, another injury situation in the backfield involving another bell cow running back, Joe Mixon of the Houston Texans. As of now, we don't have full clarification on what his injury is. Our guy, Dr. Edwin Porras up at Fantasy Points, feared for a high ankle sprain. Well, this is an interesting situation because Cam Akers was inactive in week 1, had to be active in week 2 because Dameon Pierce was inactive with an injury. Akers fumbles, so then they go to Dare Ogunbowale. What are we doing here? Does it feel like Dameon Pierce, if he's healthy, is going to get the first crack of this backfield in week 3?
I do think he'll get the first crack, but the problem is he was a scratch last night because he picked up a midweek hamstring injury on Thursday. He went from a limited practice to no practice on Friday. And, we saw that just a couple of weeks ago with T. Higgins, and he's been out for multiple weeks now because the dreaded downgrade in the middle of the week here. So I would think that Pierce probably doesn't have a great chance to play this week because of the hamstring injury. We'll see if we get more reporting on it. I would make him the top priority in this backfield if we get information, before waivers run. A lot of leagues are overnight on Tuesday, so hopefully in the next 24 hours here on Tuesday, we get some information about Pierce. But if we don't, I think the replacement is probably going to be Cam Akers this week. I think they'll go back to him. He was the lead runner, but we're also going to see Dare Ogunbowale factor in here a little bit. He's already kind of the passing back if they're looking to give Joe Mixon some breather snaps in passing situations. So this is another situation that's kind of gross and it's a little muddled, but I'm just reading through the situations here. If Mixon's going to be out a week or two, or I think Cam Akers is probably going to be the guy I'd want to own here if Dameon Pierce is also going to miss a couple of weeks.
Tom, I'm talking from a strict fantasy football perspective here because I want to touch on the quarterback position's been a black hole so far. So some of these outliers who are standing out, I got to ask you about them. Who is more real for fantasy football, Sam Darnold or Derek Carr?
I kind of like Sam Darnold a little more. I just, the situation, we have a couple years of a sample here with the Minnesota Vikings being really willing to throw the ball under Kevin O'Connell. We're seeing it again this season. We saw it at the end of last season after Kirk Cousins got hurt. A lot of those guys were relevant, and that's just the way Kevin O'Connell wants to play football. So I lean a little bit towards Darnold. He's also a little, he's lesser owned. He's about 13% in Yahoo leagues. Derek Carr's at 19%, but you can't help but be impressed by what the Saints are doing here the first 2 weeks, putting up 91 points and just monster performances from Clint Kubiak's new offense. But they're both guys that are right in that like high-end QB2 situation right now. I kind of like Darnold's. They got a matchup against Houston, Green Bay, not necessarily against the Jets, but I could see both of those games maybe, a potential to shoot out. That Green Bay one, it's going to depend on if Jordan Love is back for that game in week 4. Philadelphia, Atlanta, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay for the Saints. So that's a pretty friendly schedule as well. So both these guys are widely available. I give the slight lean towards Darnold. Get to play with Justin Jefferson, who looks like he's going to be ready to go, but both looking much stronger here than anticipated.
Tom, I'm going to bring up one tight end because everybody dropped him last week to pick up their sleeper of the week. And then he goes off for over 100 yards in week 2. And now he plays on Thursday Night Football this coming week. And we are staring, as you said off air, a 2 for 15 stinker right in the face. But Hunter Henry is the best receiver on the New England Patriots.
He is. It's no doubt about it. The other receivers, nobody topped 12 receiving yards in that game. But Hunter Henry had 109 receiving yards. I was one of those fools who dropped him last week. I picked up the tight end on the other side of the field, Noah Fant, in that game, and I think he had a whopping 14 yards in the game. So great decision by me. But now I'm going to go back out there and try to pick him up. 44% route target share from Jacoby Brissett in that game, and maybe they'll actually be forced to throw a little bit more. They've actually been leading in games and in a lot of neutral game scripts, which has kind of kept the pass volume down. But we all expected the Patriots to struggle a little bit more and probably have to throw a little bit more in negative game scripts, but that really hasn't happened yet. If it does, I think Henry is the top beneficiary. So we were expecting a little bit more from Henry in week 1. Didn't happen, but it certainly all came at once in week 2. So he is definitely the best tight end option that's widely available. 24% owned in Yahoo leagues right now.
For more fantasy football content, whether it be waiver content, whether it be game previews, whether it be DFS content and betting content, make sure you like this video, click on the subscribe button, and subscribe to the Fantasy Points YouTube channel. And for everything that we do, you want a subscription to FantasyPoints.com. Just use code YouTube25 to get 25% off what is already a discounted subscription. Tom Brawley does great work with the waiver wire document every week at Fantasy Points. Over 70 players written up this week, and that goes down to kickers and defenses, and it goes down to players who are 0% owned on Yahoo. There will be somebody in this article available in your league. I guarantee it. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and Tom and I will talk to you next week.